Look, they're native bluebells. They're native bluebells, and here's our bush tucker book. What's it called? It found it. Wild Food in Australia by A.B. and J.W. Cribb. Wild Food in Australia. And the bluebell, the Australian bluebell, is the Wallenbergia. Now, is that pop star Marky Mark? Isn't his name Wallenberg or something like that? Wallenberg. So let's read it anyway while you look at the bluebells. Wallenbergia, Australian bluebell. An anthropologist working amongst Australian Aborigines in the early decades of the century was delighted one day to meet an Aborigine coming back to camp carrying a large bunch of the Australian bluebell. "How nice," she exclaimed. "Are those for your Mary?" And was somewhat dashed at the reply of, "No, I'm going to eat them." The Australian bluebell. Let's continue. The Australian bluebell, with its delicate sky blue flowers, is one of the best known wildflowers. Although there are several species, all have the same general appearance and can be easily recognised. That's true, they all have the same sort of look about. They're all different, but they all have pretty much the same bluebell appearance. They are similar to the bluebells of Scotland rather than the English species, which is quite unrelated. Flavour of the bluebells is very mild, but the attractive appearance makes them worth using in salads. Flowers wilt rather easily, so it is necessary to include other moist ingredients with them. Distribution: some species in all states. Some species in all states. There, if you want to read it for yourself. I can't see what I'm filming. The light's too bright. But they do have that general bluebell appearance. They do have that general bluebell appearance. And there we are, there's a little entry in the book. Let's look over the page. And here's the bluebells with that general bluebell look about them. They are lovely. It's a shame to eat them, really, isn't it? Because they're so beautiful. You can put them in ice cubes and salads. You can put them in a vegetable salad, or you can put them in a fruit salad. Yes, ice cubes. They make a nice ice cube, just like a violet would. They're so lovely, aren't they? This was one of the first books on bush tucker years ago. Decades ago, it was one of the first books that came out on bush tucker. Here we are. I'll demonstrate eating a bluebell just to show you that they're edible. It's a bluebell. Don't try this unless without you get a bush tucker expert to demonstrate it for you first. There's a gorgeous bluebell, a Wallenbergia. Isn't it lovely? Wallenbergia. Now that's named after some scientist, isn't it? It's not an original First Nations term, Wallenbergia. They don't have a lot of flavour, but they're very pretty. And they'd be nice in ice cubes, nice in salads. Nice in cake icing. It's a shame to eat them all, isn't it? Always seek the advice of a bush tucker expert and a botanist before or our First Nations experts on bush tucker before you eat any bush tucker. unless you know what you're doing. They do have a bit of a flavour. After you start eating a few, there is a pleasant flavour there. They do have a bit of a flavour. They do. They're nice. A salady sort of flavour. Aren't they lovely? They'd be nice with our cake icing. I'll show you some different ones. They're all bluebells, but they're a bit different. Here's some little wee ones. They're very tiny. They're probably a different sort, but they're still bluebells, as you can see. Hold still. Little tiny ones. Don't know if it's a matter of size or a matter of species. 2, 4, 5 petals. Little 5 petals. And here's a whole little meadow of bluebells, native bluebells. They're, what sort are they? They're the smaller sort. So delicate, aren't they? Aren't they lovely and delicate? Gorgeous. So they're everywhere here. I shouldn't go hungry, should I? With our native bluebells. I shouldn't starve if I lost in the bush, would I? So pretty. They're so pretty. Let's try some of these anyway. Let's try some. Chomp, chomp. Well, they taste alright. They taste alright. Aren't they pretty? They look lovely on a biscuit or a cake. Always have your bush tucker manual with you. And there's one. Blowing in the wind, that one. For some reason. And there's slight colour variations. That one's a bit purplish. That one's actually a bit purplish, isn't it? So there are slight variations. It's a bit, they do look a bit like forget-me-nots, don't they? Now we're looking at some ruby saltbush, also known as berry of saltbush. So let's see what our bush tucker book says about them. Berry of saltbush. I'm not sorry to interrupt, but there's 2 grasshoppers having sexual intercourse. 3 of them are having sexual intercourse. We're trying to. There's another entry on saltbush. Let's read them now. So let's read it. Enkylina tomentosa, barrier saltbush, ruby saltbush. One of the saltbushes. This is a small shrub, sometimes 50 to 60 centimeters tall, very common on the plains of the inland, often growing partially shaded by trees. The stems are silvery, with a close woolly covering of hairs, and have narrow pale green leaves. Plants bear flattish red berry-like fruits, which are sweet and succulent. They were eaten by the Aborigines. See also page 106. Distribution, all mainland states. Now let's have a look at page 106. Enkylina tomentosa, barrier saltbush, ruby saltbush. This inland saltbush can be used as a green vegetable. During Captain Charles Sturt's expedition of 1844 to 46 into the interior, it was found valuable as an anti-scorbutic. Distribution, all mainland states. So an anti-scorbutic, I think that means you don't catch scurvy, do you? So if you eat those green leaves, where are we? Where are they? You won't catch scurvy. Let's eat some. And the berries as well. The berries have got sweetness in them. Yummy. The berries they've got sweetness as well as a little bit of salt. So here we are, lots of gorgeous ruby saltbush berries. Gorgeous they are. Lovely and juicy. Lovely and juicy. So juicy. Nice with ice cream. You can make a sorbet out of them. Use them to decorate a cake. Gobble. And they're free. And they're coming up wherever Patterson's Curse used to be. They're coming up. Because since they got rid of Patterson's Curse, ruby saltbush are coming up everywhere. Delicious free bush tucker. Very juicy. You can put them in fruit salads or vegetable salads for a bit of colour and taste. They fall off when they're ripe. Basically, they just fall off into your hand. And don't forget, ruby saltbush. Ruby saltbush grow all over Australia. They do all over Australia, just about. Almost over the entire continent. Proof in the pudding. Photographic proof that they're edible. You can spit the seeds out or swallow them, it's up to you. Wherever you spit the seeds out, a new bush will come up. And the leaves are edible, so you can cook the leaves up. Those are green. I think they're like warrigal greens or spinach. You're not supposed to eat too much of the greens. If you were a carnivore, you could stuff a kangaroo with them, couldn't you? Or a quail, or a pheasant, or a peacock. They're much better than junk food, aren't they, these fresh berries? There's our bush tucker. Literally on a bush.